What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing our horror haul, or just mixed Blu-rays, DVDs, that I picked up for the month of November. Typically, I try to buy these on the cheap, so you can see what you can get at some of your local pawn stores, cheap deals that were out there, just about everything. Stick around. All right, guys, so it is the end of November. I hope everybody had an amazing Thanksgiving if you celebrate it, or at least spent time with your family if you don't. We have the holiday season coming up. I've got some movies that are coming in that I ordered back in October but have not released yet. From Vinegar Syndrome, they just had their Black Friday deal. I had actually bought some from them back in October. But anyway, without further ado, I'm going to go through my stack over here to show you what I got. First up, I went to a local pawn shop and they were selling Blu-rays for like $3, which, you know, is kind of expensive if you ask me. I found like one movie that I was like really wanted to get, so I was like, well, I'll just buy one. But I asked the lady behind the counter, I was like, hey, do you do deals if I buy multiple? And she said, no, they're all $3 a piece. But the owner overheard me and was like, wait, what did you say? I was like, well, I had asked her if you guys did deals on multiple Blu-rays, and I said, if I buy like 5, will you give me a discount and give them to me for $2 a piece? And he said yes, and this was one of them that was in the pile. Now, this isn't like a favorite movie of mine, but it is something that I remember watching when I was younger. You know, Billy Crystal's in it, and they even had a sequel for this, but I picked this up for a couple of bucks. It's the collector's edition. Up next, we got Christmas Nightmare. I mean, what perfect timing to get this DVD. I've never even heard of this before, but, you know, there are Christmas horror movies out there, but there's not that many. Christmas Nightmare, not even death will stop him. Anyway, I don't know what the hell this movie is about. It looks like this movie came out in 2001. I just looked it up on IMDb, and this movie is about, after witnessing the brutal assassination of a presidential candidate, a young married couple is taken to safe house miles from civilization. The Andersons' bodyguard and FBI Special Agent Simmons escorts the couple to safety through the dark, stormy night, trying his best to assure the frightened couple they have nothing to fear while he's on watch. But upon their arrival at the safe house, the trio is shocked to find it abandoned, and their stay takes a sudden turn for the worse. Yeah. I don't know what to expect from this. This almost sounds like a thriller, but Christmas Nightmare seemed kind of appealing for $1 at the pawn store. I think I might have even gotten this for 75 cents, actually. So I figured, hey, let's try it out, see what it is, and maybe I'll do a review. If you guys want me to do a review of that, maybe I'll do like a YouTube video or something like that instead of on the podcast, and maybe break down this whole movie as it goes. So we'll see. Up next, Commando on Blu-ray with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, this movie is kind of a classic, you know. It has his catch line in it, which in most of his movies he says it all the time, which is,
I'll be back, Benny.
This is one of the popular ones that, well, I don't know if it's popular, but a lot of fans of these action movies really like a Commando. If you've never seen it, I'm sure you can find it online on like one of the streaming sites or something like that. But to own it for, I think we got this one for $3. Pretty sure, actually. But I just said, what the hell? Let's just get it anyway. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. I get into like the old 80s and 90s action flicks. Been trying to collect all the Steven Seagal movies because he runs like a weirdo. Up next, we got Vampire Hunter, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. This is actually from the director of Night Watch and Day Watch and Wanted, if you've never seen that movie, which is fucking phenomenal. It's Timur Bekmambetov, I think I'm saying his name right there. He's got a pretty wild style about him. I believe he's a Russian director, and he just has like a crazy style, action style about him that's just really fun. And this is one of those movies. It basically tells you what happened if Abraham Lincoln and everything that happened to him before he became president, and even after, was because he was hunting vampires. And so it's kind of a silly premise, but it kind of works too. So it's interesting to watch if you just like wild kind of, it almost feels like a live action movie. We enjoyed watching this one. Up next, oh man, this was a steal. I think we got this movie for $2 at a new place that we found here in town. But this was in there, and this is a movie that I saw years ago. It's got Dane Cook in it, which is really weird, but at the time, that was kind of like a big, kind of a good deal before he kind of like disappeared. And this movie is from the guy who did all the Taylor Swift videos. He's the director of this, Joseph Kahn. It's really a weird mix of interesting stuff here, but I love this movie. This is a movie that is, by all means, annoying as fuck, especially the first 15 minutes that you watch it. About a bunch of kids, teeny boppers, whatever you want to call them, whatever generation it is. But they basically are a bunch of annoying kids in the school, and everything is so fast paced, like super fast paced. At the start of the film, it's like, it's almost kind of like a mix between Heathers and like something else. If you've seen the movie Heathers, it's got like that kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of style acting and kind of how they showcase the characters and stuff like that. It's a very ADD film in a way, which may sound kind of annoying to some people, but trust me, wait for it, watch it, because this movie turns into a serial killer movie, actually a slasher movie, I should say, that just goes absolutely bananas. And some of the fucking stuff in this movie, not only is it gory as hell, but it also has some really funny stuff in it. I actually really like this movie. If you haven't seen it, try watching it. I think it will be worth your time. I think it's just a very unique film. It does borrow from a lot of different comedy or teeny bopper sort of like, you know, youthful kind of films, and then turns it on its head and does its own thing. So I highly recommend this movie. I really enjoyed it. Watching it for the second time on the Blu-ray was just great. Me and my girlfriend just absolutely loved it. So highly recommend.
It's not fair! I've been doing Pilates all senior year! My stomach muscles are too tight to do through!
Oh, Wendy.
Up next, we got The Coroner. Now, we did actually pick this one up. I think it was $4 when we got it. But I don't know. The cover looked really cool. I vaguely remember, I know there's a movie called The Surgeon. It's not that movie. There was like 3 copies of this there, so I'm assuming that this is a pretty bad movie. I think it came out in like 98 or something like that, but I'm not 100% sure. It is actually kind of cool looking though, and I figured, hey, why not? It says, eventually everyone visits the coroner, but city coroner Dr. Leon Yurowski isn't content with waiting for you to die. He's coming for you now. Pray you're already dead before you meet the coroner. So it's got some special features on it. You know, I figured I'd give it a whirl. I like trying to find like lost movies that I haven't seen. So I thought, let's try it out. There were some pretty funny 90s films that, you know, stuck out during the 90s that did pretty well, that were straight to video. And I think this is one of them. So, speaking of action films, we got Steven Seagal's Above the Law. Which I haven't watched yet again, but this is one of the ones that he did. One of my favorite Steven Seagal movies, and I just can't remember what it's called, but it was one about like a voodoo kind of gang or something that like Steven Seagal goes up against, and it's got like black magic and shit like that. And I just remember it being like so batshit crazy that I loved it. This isn't that film. This is like a little bit more straight-laced, where he's a police officer. I believe this is the one where in the beginning of the movie, he sees somebody throw out a bag of puppies. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then he picks it up. Like, someone just throws it out in the middle of the road. Like, what the fuck? But he goes out and, it's probably one of those I lost my wife and I'm fighting for her justice kind of movies. It's been so long I can't remember. But if you like this movie, sound off in the comments. I'm trying to collect all the Steven Seagal movies whenever he started. So, I think I got that for 75 cents. Up next, we got The Conduit. You might not have heard of this film, but that's okay because you can watch it now. Many years ago, when I first started up this podcast, I saw a guy who had put up a Kickstarter for a short film that he wanted to do. And it included all these like creature designs, like little creature designs that you would see something in like full moon movies from the 90s. If you're a kid that grew up during those days, full moon was like the shit because you just saw a bunch of stuff that you would never see on the shelf, and it was all straight to video stuff. Well, John kind of embraces that kind of thing and other films, not just Full Moon. John Hale, is the director, by the way. So he had this Kickstarter. He wanted to put this movie together, this short film together, and the first Kickstarter failed. But I tried to help him. I brought him onto the podcast. We did an interview. I'll put a link down below for you guys if you want to check it out. We really hit it off. He just seemed like a really genuine guy, and we've been friends since. The second campaign came up, and he had been listening to the podcast and kind of enjoyed some of the music that I had put out. So he had asked me if I wanted to put some of my music in his movie, and I said yes. So I created a song for this film. And finally, after the second Kickstarter started, it got funded, and he started making it right away. And it's been a little while to get this out, but, it is an independent film, and it's finally here. And I got my Kickstarter rewards, which I'm actually wearing. That's one of the creatures. I got the screenplay and everything signed by John and everything like that, which was super cool. We may be doing a giveaway in the future for that, by the way. I don't want to say I for sure, but we might be giving away some of these movies. But this is about a guy. Every time he goes to sleep, he opens up a portal to another dimension that basically causes creatures to come through. And it's kind of like a funny film like that, and it's actually really cool, a lot of fun. So yeah, this came with all the special features and everything like that. If you are interested in a movie like this, you can go to darkdragonfilms.net and actually pick this up on Blu-ray or DVD, or if you just want to watch it on Amazon Prime in the United States, you can. It's up on Amazon Prime called The Conduit. And you can also watch it on Vimeo. I think you can rent it on there. I'm not 100% sure, but those are the places you can watch it. But yeah, so I'm really excited to be a part of this film. I put a song at the end of the credits, and I think there was a snippet of another song I did for this side project I call Subgnostic. So if you want to hear that, there's a song at the end called Never Sleep. I'm going to be putting that song up soon for anybody to purchase if they want. So, but yeah, check this out. Up next, so Severin had a sort of end of October sale. I think it was on the 25th of October, where they were giving away all these Bruno Mattei films, 5 films for $25. I had already had 2, so I just ordered the 3-pack, which was $20 or something like that. I should have just gotten the extras and just given them to you, but hindsight 2020. But anyway, this one's called The Other Hell. Now, I don't think I've ever seen this film. It reminded me of Domania, so it may feel a little familiar to me, but a nunsploitation film from Bruno Mattei, who has done many films that are something else, let me tell you. This was also a movie that was written by Claudio Fragasso, who went by many other names, the same as Bruno Mattei, because they thought that if they had a more American-sounding name, that it would sell better in the United States, as most Italian filmmakers did. Claudio Fragasso is the guy who did Troll 2. So I picked this up. I got, 3 movies for $20. I've been wanting to get this on Blu-ray anyway, so thanks, Severin, for giving us that deal. Up next. Okay, so now, this isn't horror, I understand. Found this one for 75 cents or $1. I can't remember at one of the pawn shops, so I picked this up. This is the Muppets Take Manhattan. When I was a kid, I loved this one and the original film a whole lot, so they don't even have that one up on Disney Plus, by the way. Up next, we got another Stakeout. I don't even have the first one, but this was one of the buy 5 for $10 deal that I did at the pawn shop with that guy. And, you know, it's an older film. I haven't seen both of these films in like ever. It's got Richard Dreyfuss, Rosie O'Donnell, and Emilio Estevez in this. It's essentially a buddy cop comedy. I kind of like those kind of films from the 80s and 90s, so I picked it up. Up next, Christina wanted to get this in our 5 for 10 deal. It's Sleepy Hollow, Johnny Depp, Tim Burton movie, obviously. We got this for $1, I think, maybe 75 cents, but I think it might be $1 because it says here. But anyway, Sleepy Hollow, hopefully it works. Up next, part of that $10 5 movie deal, I got Dune, the original by David Lynch. I actually really like this movie, but it is kind of a long journey. They have the new TV show coming out, so, you know, I kind of wanted to watch this again. Plus, we just watched South Park, which is funny enough because we picked this up, and they just did that new episode where they were talking about the spice. And so this was a direct homage to this, so that only made me want to watch this movie sooner than later. So I picked this up. If you haven't seen it, you should. I actually didn't even mind the TV series, to be honest with you. Up next... Okay, so I did not get this for $6.99, and I plan on taking the actual Blu-ray cover out of this and putting it into like a crappy movie's Blu-ray case. But this is Nicolas Cage's Knowing. I'm kind of a fan of Nicolas Cage. This movie actually has some promise, although it gets kind of like ridiculous. And there's like one scene in it where this lady just dies. I'm like, Jesus. But anyway, I actually don't mind this movie. It's got a little bit of a like religious undertone to it, like they're kind of like slipping it in there to you, but I still kind of like it because it kind of reminds me the day the earth stood still, kind of in a way. So it's called Knowing. I like it. It's not the best film ever, but I still wanted to have it, and now I do for $2. Up next, oh boy, why would you get this? Why would you get this, Alex? The Mangler Reborn. This was actually the 3rd sequel, I should say. They actually did 3 of these movies. The first one was actually directed by Tobe Hooper, which is actually pretty fun. It's got the guy from Silence of the Lambs in it, because that guy had such a trouble trying to get roles after the fucking Silence of the Lambs movies. He's actually said that it kind of ruined his career in a lot of ways because nobody could see past him being that character. So Buffalo Bill, I think his name was. But I just had to pick this up because, you know, who knows? This movie may never see the light of day again. I don't know. I don't remember anything about the sequel, just other than that I didn't like it. And I don't think I ever saw the Reborn one, but I figured I'll eventually get all 3 of them, so might as well try it out and get it for a couple of bucks. Up next, you know this movie, guys, right? Neither did I. But I'll tell you what, I really like action films from, Japan, Korea, like anywhere that it is. I can't remember if this is a Chinese film, but it is region the US, so I figured I'd grab it anyway, even though I have like a region free player. But this is called Best of the Best 2. There was a Best of the Best movie in the United States that this is not about, and I think they even had a sequel for it. I figured, hey, what the hell? This is around that time where they had like some really cool action stuff going on, so I'll try it out. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't really know much about it. If anybody's seen it or knows anything about it, let me know. Up next, we got The Forgotten. Now, some of you may have seen this movie, but it's got Julianne Moore, and she is a mother who has a child that basically gets lost, and they don't know why. But the thing about it is her child doesn't just get lost. It's like they never even existed, except for her. She's the only one that remembers. She starts uncovering this, like, mystery that goes, how should I say, otherworldly. There is a scene where one of the child protective people gets yanked up into the sky, which is pretty crazy. And we even used that in a sample in my band Black Ops song called It's Not Human. It's like, it's not human, Jesus Christ.
I've seen it. It's not human. Jesus Christ. Yourself.
But I don't know. I just had to pick this up. I think we got this for $1.75. Up next, Detention of the Dead. This is an Alex Craig Mann film, which I'm not familiar with him, but as you can see, it's like an old Blockbuster rental, which is like a memory, huh? I don't remember it being too bad, but I don't remember it being that great. But it's like a, one of those fun kind of movies that puts a spin on zombies. And this one happens to be kind of like, while these kids are on detention. Can't remember much about it, but I figured I'd pick up the hard copy of this because I don't have it. Plus, for $1, you really can't go wrong. Up next, I got a funny story about this one, guys. So this is called Soy Hark's Vampire Hunters. Speaking of like wild action flick films, this is one of those Asian films that is pretty cool. During a hard time, I had to sell a bunch of my movies. Funny enough, I actually remember this little piece of tape here. And I'm wondering if when I turned this movie in to sell, if this was the copy that I owned. And it's just somehow found its way back to me. Essentially, this movie is in 19th century China. An evil monk awakes a nest of ghoulish vampires hell-bent on devouring human life. Now a quartet of heroes trained in the Taoist Mao Shan school of magic and their master use their unique powers to destroy the vampire king and its lethal coven before it's too late. I remember actually not such a bad film, but I haven't seen it in a while. I get in the mood for these kind of films, and if you've watched this and you like it, sound off in the comments. 75 cents on that one. Up next, The Mothman Prophecies, which is kind of a cool film. There are Mothman films, I believe, other than this, but I think this one was like the one that like did it the best. Richard Gere's in it, so it's kind of legit. I don't know. I would honestly probably rather have this on Blu-ray, but for 75 cents, an old Blockbuster rental that actually looks pretty decent. Plus, it's got someone's name written on the side here. Like, I don't even know what that's all about. Up next. Okay, Wrong Turn 2, Dead End Unrated. So, I'm actually a fan of the first one. I don't remember much about the second one, but I thought the premise of everything in the first film was really cool. It was a fun film. Kind of reminds me of like Monster Man, but this is the one with Henry Rollins in it. I do remember that. I remember the acting in this was kind of a little rough. Not as good as the first film, that's for sure. But I do eventually want to own all of these, and we'll probably do them on the podcast at some point in time. Christina kind of likes these films, but they get a little rough. Next, I think this was $3, even though it says $6.99. $3 or $2. I've always been a fan. I don't really need to explain. This is a Stanley Kubrick film, and it's a damn good one. Full Metal Jacket is one that just will always stick with you. Really iconic Vietnam movie. It's awesome. So up next, we got a bunch of Hellraiser movies, but they had this at the new store we visited, and it was $6.99 for all 4 movies. I'm not a fan of much. I like the first 3, maybe 4 movies, but after that they get kind of weird. But I will say that Hellseeker and Inferno were okay. Hellworld went batshit too much for me, and that's where it kind of really nosedived, it like sealed the deal. And then the one after that, which I think is Revelations, is the puffy face pinhead. But yeah, Hellraiser, it comes with Hellraiser Bloodlines, which I actually saw in the theater. It's essentially Hellraiser in space, if you remember, because they unlock the box on a spaceship like in the future, and it causes all this stuff, even though it tells the story of where the laminate configuration came from. But I figured, for $6.99, all of these on Blu-ray, I'll take them, because I wouldn't want to buy them individually anyway, but I'll have them. Up next, one of our buddies that you guys probably already know if you watch these videos enough, you know that we have our buddy Patrick Lemke, who goes by Plemke in the Twitch chat. He actually bought this for us. It is the Blade Trilogy. I've been a fan of the first one, obviously, and the second one's pretty good too. Third one's really kind of jumps the shark and pretty much killed the movies, although they are going to be rebooting it. He picked this up for me, so thank you, Plemke. Really appreciate that, buddy. Hope you're having a good holiday. Not much more to say about this. You've probably already seen all of these. Is technically one of the first action Marvel characters before all of this buzz happened. So if you haven't seen these, I would highly recommend you watch them, but I'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that didn't. Up next, we got In the Land of the Cannibals. This is part of that 3-pack I got for $20 from Severin, which they do the Intervision films combined with it. Bruno Mattei. A little story on him. Bruno Mattei moved to, I think it was, he moved somewhere with like jungles and stuff like that. And so he kind of capitalized on that. He did some zombie films out there. He found that the people out there he worked with really well, and it was really cheap to make movies out there. So he continued that by going out and doing these cannibal movies, which I have not seen, In the Land of the Cannibals. And he also did, last but not least, Mondo Cannibal. You know, this is a 2003 movie, and I believe this is 2003. So he was banging these out like crazy. And I like Bruno Mattei, even at his worst. So I wanted to have these in the collection because I believe these are actually going out of print. So I figured, you know what? Hey, I'll have them. Even if I don't like them, I'm keeping them because it's Bruno Mattei. Mattei. I'm pretty sure it's Mattei. Have you guys seen these films? I have not yet. I still haven't watched Island of the Living Dead, or there's another one that are sequels to some of the zombie films, even though they're titled differently. But yeah, so that is it. I know this was kind of a long video, and it's been a while since I've actually put up a video. I've been on vacation, as you guys probably already know, and my intention was to do a lot of videos while I was on vacation. But to be honest with you guys, I've been just go for like 3 years straight, and it took me a week to even get into the mindset where I could actually relax. I don't know if any of you have worked so hard that you just don't know how to not work, but that tends to be an issue. And I kept thinking to myself, if I do more videos, then I'm just going to be getting back into the habit of working, and I'll have not even actually taken a well-deserved vacation. So I apologize that I haven't put out videos, but I really did need a mental break here for a little bit, even though it broke my heart not to be able to do videos, and it took everything in me not to do them. But I wanted to at least give you guys this video, and it is a little bit longer than normal, so I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what movies you actually enjoy in that pile and which ones you would have picked up for the same price. I always love hearing from you guys in the comment section down below because, you know, that's what it's all about. I like doing these videos so people can find movies that maybe they've never even heard of and, you know, find something new that they can enjoy. So thank you guys so much for coming by. We will be coming back here in a week, and I will be gearing up for a lot more. So stick around. Thank you so much for coming by, guys. And as always, long live the void.